Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review Batwoman. So, this, of course, is the pilot episode because I couldn't have been bothered to have me really say what's the difference between the pilot episode of Batwoman and the third season of it. Has the show drastically picked up or changed or been worth watching via these whole 3 seasons? I highly doubt it. But I decided to go on and be like, what the heck? It seems like Batwoman is a show that everybody is to love to hate. And a lot of people would go on and be like, man, why are you watching this whole show? Like, why did you watch this whole season? Like, it makes no sense for you to do so. But then I would go on and just see the tickety-tick of views that is to be overwhelmingly this show compared to any other. And then it would just be like, well, that's the answer right there. It really just comes down to the tickety-tick of views and subscriptions and whatever just because of this show existing. And that's what it really just comes down to is weirdly we just have a bunch of people that just know a show is bad, but they'll go into a review of it anyways because they just want to see probably a reviewer go on and just be like, this show, Or I'm just going to go on and just say well, yeah, it feels like there is some goofy things about this show. It feels like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make rational sense to me. But what can you do because this is Batwoman and this is how they just presented the show. So, really, in this world, we of course have Batman that is to have been gone for 3 years. Because in my idea, we have it to where Bruce Wayne or Batman, is to go on and do such a brutally perfect job to where when we go and we look at a show like Birds of Prey, where this show is kind of obviously copying from because this show has nothing really original to it, as well as Titans later on is to copy and paste the exact same story that this show goes into because their show isn't all that creative either. Because, yeah, we have Batman who just F's off in one of their seasons, and so the Titans have to come in and just save Gotham. And so I'm like, how is any of these shows coming up with anything all that creative? They don't. Oh, that's the answer. So we go on, we have Batman who is to do a perfect job at getting rid of every single one of his infamous rogue gallery. We don't have a single Joker, Two-Face, Penguin, Clayface villain in this story. As were Birds of Prey, that show would be obviously different, where we would go on and see a Clayface or a Scarecrow or something like that. Where it'd be like, oh, well, then Batman in that show was actually a lazy piece of where, as in this show, it's like, no, we really have it to where Batman just does everything so perfectly that he's finally just handing this city over to Gotham and just saying no, you guys, there's only the D-list and C-list villains. Why should I bother taking time to take these guys out? Alice in Wonderland? Oh, that's a nothing villain. Just go ahead and just hey, it's your turn. It's your shift. I'm gonna go on hiatus for a couple of years because until you guys legitimately have a real threat for me to take on, then I'll come back. To where Gotham City's like, wait, no, don't leave. Where we have no Commissioner Gordon in this story, where we don't even have a young Commissioner Gordon in this story, where, hilariously enough, in Gotham, we would have it to where, in that show, the police department, GCPD, would easily go on and snuff out every single one of these threats. Whereas in this show, we don't even have the GCPD as a factor in the show. We have a Crow's security that is to be filled with Marines and Green Berets that is to kind of just make me go on and be like, okay, either these guys were to have horrible resumes that were all things that nobody could have bothered to double check, and really these people aren't who they say they are because we have a Crow security that is even possibly worse than the GCPD. because we have a show like Gotham that could easily defend their city, whereas a Crow security is to come on in and all of a sudden they can't really defend their city. They have to rely on one person and one person alone to come in and step up and save their city. How is it that this city isn't to have been completely and utterly wiped out at this point? Because that just baffles and confuses me. How is it that we've gone on in numerous DC stories and had complete and utter towns completely wiped out easily by villains, but in this story, with a Batman gone, it seems that this city has been able to either thrive or live on without a Batman. So that must tell me that Batman was to be so good at his job that, this city should have been wiped out at this point. Gotham should have had like a nuke come into it and just obliterate this town. So obviously, Bruce did not, or Batman did not do a bad job. Obviously. Because Gotham still exists. So, and it seems that Gotham has kind of limped on through those 3 years. Or otherwise, like, crime would be running this town. And it's not. No one would be able to go and chuck $1,000 to just watch a light go on and off. They wouldn't be able to have that kind of money. People wouldn't be rich in this city because there would be no gala to be able to go to because this city would be overrun. So yeah, we obviously don't need a Batwoman in the show, but it's just convenient. So we go on here, and so really we have it where it seems that the perfect time of us having a very weak sauce villain who again is not a threat to a Batwoman that is to supposedly be the best thing since sliced bread to Gotham. And really we go on and have them say that, like, hey, this is still Batman. Like, this is obviously Batman because we can't tell the difference. And they can't tell the difference until a number of episodes. Just immediately assuming that this is Batman until finally she is to get a new set of duds to tell us otherwise. Hence why I would much rather call Batwoman Batman until she gets a costume change. Because she's technically Batman to anyone in the city. They are all still thinking that this person under the cowl is Bruce Wayne. So, with that said, let's just go on and let's just kind of go through this first pilot episode and have us go through and either do this in a positive light or negative light. I would say beyond certain line stuff or certain things that goes on here, I can say that this was a good pilot that eventually goes on and the show annihilates itself because it just desperately wants to be a tax write-off for CW and Warner Brothers. So this is I would call this an okay first run of this character, but eventually it goes on and just spirals down to a point of them just wanting to be a woke show that is to offend people and have the most limited audience it can possibly get. For some odd reason, I guess controversy for the show is to just equal cash, weirdly. So, with that said, let's go out of our way to go on into that double 5 time territory so we can go on and spoil the show, so that way I won't have to take a million years to go on and talk about this. So, we go on and we have Kate, who is to be under, I'm assuming she's in Antarctica, and she of course is going on and doing this one thing where she was to be shoved into this wateried, icy environment for her to have to escape from out of these cuffs and perform this kind of Houdini-like act. So all of a sudden we have Kate Kane, who is to easily go on and figure out a way to uncuff herself, but then once she is to make her way to the surface, we go on and have a guy who is to go on and make it so that Kate cannot get easily back out of this hole, to where Kate is to realize that she needs to go and take these cuffs and then use them as a bashing like thing to get out of this predicament that she is in. Of course, showing us some side melon, which is thumbs up. Yeah, delicious side melon. Because heaven forbid we get anything else in this show. No wet t-shirt contest? Oh, that's too bad. So, man, if Gotham would only just put that on, we'd be like, ooh, ah, yeah. Whatever. Anyways, who knows if anybody's going to really want to watch this. So I really appreciate if you did. I'm probably going to just watch this show ironically, because why not? Just to see what happens. Just roll the dice. So we go on here and we have, of course, a number of flashbacks through this show, while also going on and giving us some current time stuff. So I think I want to just easily get into that through this show so I can cover all the flashbacky stuff, because it doesn't matter when exactly we go into it as long as we just go into it. So we, of course, have at one point where I guess Kate was to be at Rock Point Academy. Academy that is to weirdly go on and see, of course, two women kissing. They're like, oh no, heaven forbid. An academy. This isn't actually legitimately the military, because if you go on and you have like a number of people that are supposedly legitimately military people in a crow's security, and it doesn't seem like they are who they say they are, then this academy doesn't really seem like it's an actual military school to me, because look at the costumes that people are to wear at some point in the show. That doesn't make it seem like this is to be anything other than this not actually being a real legit military school. But it says military academy for whatever reason, so don't ask, don't tell. So we go on and we just have it where instead of Kate Kane and Sophie going on and actually doing an obstacle course, they're too busy carving some initials into some obstacle course like thing and kissing. So obviously the reason why we have, of course, Kate Kane and Sophie getting punished the way that they are is because they're not actually going on and doing what they should have actually been doing, which is actually just going through these obstacle courses and whatever. We have them going and sneaking off and just being lazy pieces of shit. And that is the reason why we have it where we, of course, have these girls that are to get punished the way they are. And then afterwards, it's like, oh, I guess they're kissing also. Well, so, but we go on here and we have Kate Kane, who is to realize the only reason why she was kicked out of this academy was simply because she smooched Sophie. And now this pushes on to, I guess, have Sophie for the rest of her life be this closet girl who is to like girls, because I guess the world at this point cannot accept Sophie for liking other women. But when exactly is the time of which that she is to go on and break up with Tyler and to go on the prowl again, like she should have gone and done all along? Because she has the freedom to? She's had the freedom since, I don't know, pilot episode, but no, she's going to go out of her way to just marry into Tyler. and live this life that she does not want because reasons. So whatever, right? Like, there is no reason for Sophie to want to marry Tyler, because she's not in any kind of military outfit. No one is going to go on and ridicule her or fire her because she doesn't have a male counterpart lover. So very confused why Sophie has to go on and marry Tyler. Maybe it's probably just because she could not find any other person in existence that she is to like beyond Tyler. And really, just Sophie could only find Tyler because Kate Kane was not available. Uh, that's the only justifiable thing. So, we go on in this episode, and so we have Kate that is to go on and, of course, get a call from Mary telling her to come back to Gotham. And so Kate is to be like light years away, but Kate is like, okay, I'll just make it back to Gotham. So, because Kate, for numerous amounts of years, has gone on and done training to go on and try to be what her daddy would want her to be for the Crow's security, which I don't know exactly how her going to Antarctica to train under this man is going to give her the ability to now just have like certain paperwork that says like, oh, okay, now you're going to be a Crow security because this guy looks like he just made Kate do this just for fun. Like, I don't get this. Like, we just have Kate do all these does this weird goofy training that doesn't feel like there is to be legit like a pass or grade thing that she's doing here. It just feels like she's weirdly doing this just to do it. It makes no sense. There isn't no training here for Antarctica. This makes no sense. So we have it to where I think Kate just wanted to F off because she never really wanted to come back to Gotham. She just didn't. So, speaking of which, Kate is to finally go back to Gotham. And so, we of course have Kate here, who is to mention that Bruce Wayne is to have been gone for 3 years. And so it seems that Kate was to realize that Wayne had ran out on this city and ran out on their family, and and heaven forbid they go on and try to search for this guy or deem him to be missing. They just write him off as dead, because we could have a bunch of people that could be hired, like a whole Crow security that can go on and be hired to find Bruce. But they couldn't have been bothered because they're lazy pieces that couldn't have been bothered to go and find Bruce or have Bruce say one stitch of lettering that is to say, "Hey guys, I'm still alive, just hanging out." Because we really have a movie, an animated movie that is to have Bruce Wayne say that he's still alive and he's running the business and whatever. But actually he was gone, and so we had like this CGI thing where somebody was stepping in as Bruce until Bruce could come back. And so where's that technology for this show is where I'm kind of going on and thinking here. Who is going to be the next of kin to take on Bruce's company? There is nobody? So we have it to where really Kate is going on and saying that Bruce Wayne is a piece of that ran off and could not go on and do anything for both this family and Gotham. But we have it to where, like, at some point, like, did the Canes never bother to list Bruce Wayne as dead so they could get that huge, massive fortune and the Wayne Enterprises and go on and let like Bruce Wayne's next of kin control Wayne Enterprises? We did that in Batman Begins, but we don't do that in this show because I guess these people are lazy pieces of So Bruce Wayne is a lazy guy who runs off, but the Kane family could not step in and go on and control the Wayne estate. Who's really lazy here? I'm just wondering. I'm fascinated by this story. Now, like Wayne is such a lazy piece of, and they write it that way. Because we go on and we have another flashback where Batman is to go on and have it be that uh, Kate and Kate's sister Beth are going on onto this road trip with her mother, who we never see, and it seems that there is to be an accident that is to force both Beth and Kate to then fall off this bridge. And so Batman is to swoop in and to think that he is to have the perfect scientific algorithm to have this car be saved and to go on and save a number of other people also in the process. But all of a sudden we find out that Batman's equipment at that point was falsely working and could not hold this car and was to go on and to lead both Beth and Beth's mother to their deaths, supposedly. So, but Kate was able to make her way out of the back window of this car to escape and live. So, we go on here, and so we have Kate who makes her way back to Gotham, and the first thing that she is to end up doing is meeting up with her dad, and so we go on and we have it to where it seems like her dad is to easily welcome her with open arms, even though also we really have it to where Jacob Kane could also not give a single F about Kate. To the point of just like, oh yeah, like I've just been giving you money to do like what? Like, what have you been doing all this time? Like, what training do you have so I can go and like make it to where I can understand that you are seemingly a Crow security, like thumbs up, yeah, like she has had so much training more so than anybody else that works here that she'll be perfect to go on and do this job. Because we have it to where like Kate doesn't care about going to work with the Crow security, but like Jacob is to go on and say it's like, well, hey, like if you want this job, you can take it. But Kate is just like, like I don't think I ever really wanted this job. So we have it to where like Jacob doesn't really want to really catch up with his daughter. He's just like, oh, okay, like so you're here, great. Um, so we go on and we have Jacob Kane as well as a number of people who are all going to this banquet where they're going to have to pay $1,000 to watch a light go off and on because they go on and tell us that. Where Dodgerson is kind of complaining to Sophie, it's like, seriously, like somebody's just wanting a light to go off and they're going to pay $1,000 for that. So like, man, we have Gotham that's really struggling. So much so that like D-list villains are just coming in and just taking down Gotham, and these people have just money to blow. How horrifying is that, right? So this economy of Gotham is just the most struggling thing. So we go on and we have both Catherine Hamilton Kane, and we of course have Mary Hamilton that is to come on in and is to want to, of course, spend $1,000 on a plate for what I don't know. But we have Jacob Kane who is kind of going and using a metal detector on Catherine, and she of course is like, really, like you're gonna have to go and pat me down. And Jacob's like, well, yeah, like how can I not like get to spend some time with my wife by just patting her down here? And maybe he should have went on and said like, yeah, it was security breach. Like, I think we're gonna have to go and get the gloves out, kids, or the gloves out, guys. So he could have joked about it. So we go on and we have, of course, our characters that are to go on into this banquet. And so it seems that we, of course, have it where we have Alice in the Wonderland gang that is going on and trying to intimidate the city. And so we seemingly have it here. Let me pause here for 1 second. All right. Pause. And we're back. Sorry about that. So we go on and we now have Catherine who's going on and doing this whole speech and going on and mentioning how like Batman has been gone and that really they should have gone on and just gotten rid of the whole bat signal like a long freaking time ago in my mind. So we go on and of course we have like Gotham just being so proud about how they went on and set up like a number of things. But we of course go on and have it where Dodgerson is to turn on the Crow's security as we really just have Jacob here who is going on and saying that he's not quite sure if one area is to really be safe here. And so we go on, we have Jacob who of course is calling Dodgerson, and Dodgerson is saying like, oh no, everything's fine, when really he is to be teaming up with Alice. And Alice, of course, is to have Sophie, who is to have been easily tied up and is to, of course, be on her way to be making it to this orphanage that, of course, is to be called the Burnside Orphanage. So we go on and we, of course, have it where Alice is to make this speech on how Gotham isn't really all that safe anymore. And it seems that we're really having it here where Jacob is to realize that Sophie is to now be taken and now to be kidnapped. And because that will be the only thing that, of course, to really get Jacob's attention here compared to anybody else back in town, correct? So we go on and we, of course, have it where we have Kate who is to make her way to talking with Jacob. And we, of course, end up finding out that there had been a number of Wonderland gang that was to go on and be shown on this camera as Sophie was getting taken. And so they end up finding out that there is to be a bat or a paddle that is to weirdly have this one inscription that I guess was so easy for Kate to easily read. And even when they technically zoom in, I could still barely read this anyways. But we go on and have this read, not for the mild, well-behaved child. And so Kate is to go on and realize that is easily a Alice in Wonderland reference, and that there is to, I guess, be a one place that, of course, to have that, and that is to be Burnside Orphanage. So Kate is to run off to make it to this orphanage to go through and start beating up these Wonderland gang members to make her way to get to Alice, only for her to be taken down and to be, of course, tied up by really just having her being hung at a place where I guess she cannot be able to escape from. So we have it where Alice is now telling Kate Kane that that Jacob's only daughter that he has ever wanted was Sophie, and that to Jacob, Kate Kane does not exist. That really, Jacob was probably happiest when Kate Kane was away, because now that she's back, like, what is he going to really do with her? What is he really going to, like, have her do here? So we go on, and so after Alice, of course, to leave this orphanage and is to, of course, make her way into trying to take down Gotham's Park, we, of course, have it where now Kate is to go on and try to find Bruce Wayne by going to Wayne Enterprises, realizing that he, of course, is not to be there, or that Kate Kane is to want to find somebody who knows possibly Bruce's whereabouts, or to call him, because Bruce Wayne is a cop, Bruce Wayne is a private eye, Bruce Wayne is to be the one guy that people are to come to to save their city. What is a rich guy going to do really here? So we, of course, in a flashback are to see that Kate is to see this necklace in, of course, Wayne Enterprises, because I guess weirdly both Beth and Kate are to go to Wayne Enterprises for whatever reason. But it is kind of funny how we already have to go on here and say that Kate Kane is basically the female version of Bruce Wayne within this show. So we go on, we have Kate, who is to make it into Wayne Enterprises without any bells or whistles going on, because this is a very lavish, expensive building, which is to still be run by, I guess, nobody. And so we go on, we have Kate, who's making it to Wayne's desk, and so Luke Fox is to go in with a taser to try and get Kate out of this office. To where, of course, we go on and we have Kate, who is to easily take Luke down, because I guess Luke has never gone on and had one stitch of training of military or otherwise in his entire life. But hey, go on and make him Batwing because reasons. So we go on here, and we, of course, have Luke, who is to kind of tell Luke is to tell Kate that he doesn't know where Bruce is, that he's been gone for a number of years, and when you think Luke would desperately want Bruce to come back so Luke could continue to get checks from Bruce Wayne. How is it that this building is still getting funded? How is it that people are still getting money? Why is it that Luke is still working here if it seems that Bruce isn't? Why isn't any of this a thing in my thought process to just say, like, there's so many holes in the show? So We go on and we have Kate, who is to realize that this necklace is out of place, and so she puts the necklace back where it should be to go and have this be revealed that in Wayne Enterprises there is to be a Batcave inside of it, weirdly, which honestly doesn't make any sense. Because weirdly does like how high is this? Is this room to be the very bottom last room of this? Is this supposed to be very high part? So is there like a Bruce Wayne and there'd be the Batcave? Like is this like I don't know why we have to have a Batcave in Wayne Enterprises. It makes no sense. Uh, but if anyways, we just have to have a Batcave somehow, and I guess it just can't be from Wayne Mansion, right? Because that would make a load of sense. I don't know why there's a Batcave here. It in Wayne Enterprises. It just spits in the logic of anything. So, cause it's just easy, I guess. So, we have to have a Batcave everywhere where Bruce is to just hang his hat. Um, but that wouldn't make sense because uh, look at the Dark Knight. There wasn't a Batcave underneath his penthouse. There wasn't. So that just again, Batman logic for you. So we go on and we have Kate Kane that is to realize that Bruce Wayne is Batman because shouldn't have anybody in the Batman family or Bruce Wayne's family know at some point that Bruce Wayne is Batman? Because what's going to happen when there's contingency plans? But I guess we don't really have that in this show. We don't even have a video having Bruce Wayne going on and telling Kate Kane, "Hey, this is just in case I'm dead," or for what. Like we have no contingency plan for Batman, Batcave, whatever. It makes no rational sense for any of this. So we go on. We have Kate, who is to go on and tell Luke to modify the suit, and hopefully he's getting paid by somebody to do so, to make the suit that is already perfect to only be perfect when it's to fit onto a woman, which I don't think that they heavily really adjusted this suit whatsoever, because they don't really adjust it for a woman until they actually spray the red on it and give this character a wig. Then they actually adjust the suit. Because I doubt that they even adjust the suit for the show. So, besides a coat of paint. So, we go on and we, of course, have Kate, who is to realize that Gotham's Park is going to get blown up. So, we now have Kate, who is going and trying to save Gotham and is to try to take down Alice. And so Alice, that was a weird way of saying that name. So we go on and we of course have it in this story where Kate is to go and try and of course take down Alice, but while doing that she has to go and save Sophie. So Kate is to go and save Sophie, and it seems like we're going on and doing the exact same thing between both Rachel Dawes and Bruce Wayne from The Dark Knight, where we go on and have like a Batwoman who has to kind of adjust her suit so that way they can go and fall, and I guess like Batwoman can like break or Batman, because she's Batman technically, can break Sophie's fall. And then Sophie realizes, oh, you're not him. Does it really matter at this point? Somebody saved your life. Who gives a who he is or who she is? So we go on and we have Sophie, who's just like, oh my god, I think I want to kiss this woman because like I really just want some of that. So We go on and we have it where, of course, uh, Kate is to fight off Alice, and really what ends up happening is, of course, Alice is to get away, but Kate ends up getting a consolation prize of getting Alice's blade, so that way they can eventually run Prince on this blade, because they're going to have to, because they're going to have to find out, ooh, who could possibly Alice be? Because Alice is so adamantly wanting to go after Jacob, and there has to be a big reveal about all that of why she's doing that. So we go on, we have it to where, of course, Kate is to realize that the jewel that this knife is to have in place of it is the exact same jewel that both Beth and Kate are to share, in a flashback, really just telling us right off the pilot that Alice can possibly be Beth. And spoilers for anybody, that's the story. That's the way they approach this. And like, it doesn't feel like that is a big massive surprise, because really they already tell you that in the very first episode, and that's the legit story here. So we go on and we have Kate, who is to go on and again talk to Jacob, and Jacob is wanting to go on and say, like, hey, like, you can go on and work with me, like, you might as well, right? Like, you're finally home, and so you might as well just go on and, like, I can have you work with me, even though I really want to protect you, because Jacob really just wants Kate to uh, work in a certain section where she's just to push uh, like papers, but Kate wants to be part of the action, and I guess she really can't do that if she's working with the crows, because Jacob will always want to protect her, and it has nothing to do with her. Like, so like so Kate is just wanting to protect, or Jacob is wanting to protect Kate, because really, Kate is all he has. To where she has been off going on in boondocks and who knows where to supposedly have enough training to impress her father, which will never happen. And so so Jacob is to say that he's overprotective of his daughter, but if she died, I guess he wouldn't care. By her being in some third world countries somewhere where he's not keeping tabs on her, and he has no clue what she's doing, because he couldn't have even known what she is doing, because he couldn't have even bothered to ask. So instead, we have it to where obviously Kate is to go on to the Batwoman route, and is to just decide, well, like, I don't want to work with my father, like, because I don't want to go and push papers all day. I want to go on and fight along. I want to take on my other family's lineage, which, of course, is Batman with Bruce. So we go on and we have it where Kate is going and narrating this whole thing, to, of course, tell Bruce about her journeys, her journal, her journal journeys. And so if Batman or if Bruce Wayne is to have been a lazy piece of like, why would he go on and read any of these journals? So why would Kate even do these entries? It's really just to have a narration towards the beginning and the end of this show, because it's obvious that, like, any number of these shows are to all have that, and every, like, Arrow or Flash show has to have that narration, really just telling us that this show is not any different from any other one of these CW shows, as well as me obviously stating that this show is not any different than any other Batman show. Or anything that is to be Batman tied or Batman adjacent, that this show isn't any different than. So really, when looking at it, I'm waiting for a Batgirl show, but it feels like we're probably just going to get a Batgirl movie, which I'm probably not going to be all that jazzed about because it seems like what they're already doing with that character is to just be like, hey man, like, how woke can we be again? Like, how can we just go get the most obscured character that makes no rational sense for us to have, just so that we can fit into some like minority of some character because we have to do that now. Whatever with the Warner Brothers and CW and whatever. I just want to go back. I think at some point it's just so tempting to just go and watch Arrow, just the early seasons because that show was great, hands down great for the CW, and having to go into any other show after that was just like I don't really care. So with that said, I think I'm gonna get out of here because I think the episode was like 40 some odd episodes, and so I kind of already have crossed that barrier. So let's just get out of here. Bye, buddy. Bye, buddy.